Hey guys, it's me. Welcome back to the program. I'm here, as always, with my trusty sidekick, Video Boy. Hey, Video Boy. Hey, it's me. Come on, let's go on a learning adventure. Alright guys, well today we're going to look at a video by the famous Joseph Rogan.
Okay, Joseph Rogan.
You may remember him from his famous quote,
Chinese people look Chinese.
But before we get to that, okay, the night I'm recording this, there was a basketball game, alright? And people are really doing this. And the Phoenix Suns lost by a lot, okay? It was a blowout.
I'm gonna blame it on just one of those nights.
And I just happened across... I happened across what I think is my new favorite guy.
Unfortunately, the team did not meet fans' expectations.
This was the worst the Suns have played the entire season, and I've been to damn near every game. It's embarrassing.
We're a little sad. We are very...
This was the worst the Suns have played the entire season, and I've been to damn near every game. It's embarrassing.
We're a little sad.
It's an embarrassment. These guys are embarrassing. I can't even look them in the eye anymore. Even though technically I couldn't look them in the eye because I was in row triple F on level 3, floor 3 of the arena.
I'm giving this guy a little bit of a hard time, but I like this guy. Maybe he's embarrassed because he has all Phoenix Suns merch on. And then in that case, I get it. You know, if I was out there in Phoenix and I was wearing a Phoenix Suns hat, shirt, probably sweatpants, Chris Paul signature shoes or whatever, what I would do is I would switch to the other team. I would switch to Mavericks. I'll be like, yeah, right, guys. And they're like, hey, we saw you earlier. You were cheering for the Suns. I'd be like, no, those other guy. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's get shots. So big shout out to this guy of the week, the Phoenix Suns embarrassment guy. Look, guys, let's just have fun with the sports, okay? These guys are going to make millions of dollars no matter what, so don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. You know, just try to enjoy it. That's what all the big jumbotrons and all this crap, you know, some furry doing flips and then doing a flip dunk at halftime and all this crap.
It's supposed to be fun, guys.
All right, so here we go. I wanted to look at the video of this guy. Joe has fallen down the rabbit hole a little bit. He's fallen down the content rabbit hole. He seems to have kind of, I guess, bought in to all this like groomer talk from, I don't even know who these people are anymore. So I wasted precious hours of my fleeting time on this planet I watched this entire thing. It's 3 hours. I mean, at least on this one, they didn't get so high. Like that Tony Hinchcliffe video that I watched. At least on this one, they didn't get so high that they're just like looking at a video. They're just like... So it's Joe Rogan has this guy on his channel. This guy he's like Jordan Peterson. He's like a Jordan Peterson kind of guy. His name is Gad Saad. He's a professor, I think, of a psychology of some kind. Who gives a crap? Who gives a crap?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them pursuing whatever sexual identity they have and living their life. But I'm saying you should not be the person that talks to children about this, especially if you're a fucking history teacher. Chinese people look Chinese.
Sorry.
So you're supposed to be teaching them about fucking Native Americans.
So when I have students in my consumer behavior class, I tell them, what age is it moral, ethical, if not legal, to target children through advertising? And the typical answer that we get from academic research is that you should only target children with advertising when they know that the intent of the advertisement is to persuade them of something.
Yes.
Because once they know that, they can build the cognitive barriers against your persuasive intent.
Yes.
So from this side of our mouth, we tell companies you can't sell cereals to an 11-year-old child because they're too young to protect themselves against the persuasive intent. But from this side of the mouth, we tell teachers, that it is when they're 7 years old or 6 years old that we should tell them about LGBTQ stuff. Those two things are inconsistent. If I can't target your child...
How's that? How can we at the same time want to protect kids from advertising, but not want to protect kids from learning that LGBTQ people exist. And I think he thinks this is a slam dunk. This seems a little nefarious. This seems like what we call nefarious shit to me.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
So, I mean, isn't the reason that we try to protect, which we don't, which we can't, try to protect, which we can't, kids from advertising? It's because the advertisers are trying to sell them something, and are usually trying to sell them something that they don't need, or in the case of like cereal, little sweet treat candies is actually bad for them. So if there's some kind of like sex ed going on, like age-appropriate sex ed that includes, hey, there's gay people exist. That's the same, like gay people, like LGBTQ people are the same as like Reese's cereal. This guy's a professor, and I think like we're right off the bat. I mean, it's on and on like this. This culture war thing with the teachers and all this is just so baffling, because really what it sounds like they're saying is that sex ed shouldn't be taught in schools. And why didn't they do that with the law? Why didn't they, like this law specific in Florida that people are so worked up about, why didn't they just say, hey, before third grade, no sex ed? No sex ed. Nothing even related to that. They didn't. They specifically targeted people that they knew would get upset, which that gives you all the info you need right there.
They're standing in front of a class, and they're 37 years old, and these kids are 8, and they're telling them about how the world works.
That's
and
sick.
Maybe they're doing it in a better, more attentive way than the parents do.
Yeah.
Maybe the parents aren't doing such a good job, because maybe the parents are fucking tired and they work all day.
Probably not.
I don't know. But what I do know is your cerebral cortex doesn't even fully form until you're 25 years old.
Yeah.
Your frontal lobe. You're
So I think I read this on this channel, but we were reading about, Finland, whatever. And the thing that I read was that they start very young teaching kids about sex ed, because it's sort of like the anti-Kentucky, where Kentucky's strategy about sex ed is abstinence. Okay, no more with the southern voice. The people of Kentucky are beautiful, okay? There's lots of really nice people in Kentucky, obviously, all right? But to do the voice one more time, their strategy is abstinence-only education. And abstinence-only education is a way of like obscuring the demons of sexuality from the world, And the problem with it is that it was a massive failure. We sunk so much money into this crap during the Bush, George W. Bush. Hey, abstinence-only education. Like mega failure. I mean, I'm sorry, but this is like the stupidest kind of hysteria. Like this is something that these lunatics like Ron DeSantis and the people who control Ron DeSantis, people like that are like, how can we whip dum-dums up into a frenzy? Oh, they're trying to turn your kids gay and trans. Job done. Now we don't have to do anything else.
The friends that I've had that have gone to jail and come out of jail, they're like, you're not getting rehabilitated in there. If anything, you get turned into a harder criminal. You get taught how to do crimes better, and you get to talk to people about how they get caught and how they're going to not get caught the second time when they get out.
Are you aware?
I don't know what the solution is. I would imagine that we're going to have a much more comprehensive understanding of what it takes to program a mind and what it takes to deprogram a mind, and what techniques, what substances are involved in that can be effectively given to people. Because we know that there's some substances that aid tremendously in alleviating people from whether it's alcoholism or any kind of addiction issues like this ibogaine. There's a bunch of different things that people can do. A lot of people that have done psilocybin, the John Hopkins studies have shown tremendous benefits in quitting detrimental behavior.
I'm kind of feeling Joe's solution to crime here. All right. Usually, when you look at it, it's like income inequality is a big determinant of crime. Poverty. We could work on that, or hear me out. Microdosing. You know who else needs some microdosing to get their shit together? The Phoenix Suns.
It's embarrassing.
I don't want to... Okay, here's my thing, guys.
here's my thing, guys, okay?
Is that I don't want to so much solve crime as I want my criminals to be sort of like
Russell Brandy type criminals. You know, they're like, oh, well, what if we were all unified in unity? And by the way, I need to take this because I don't have money to eat. But like when I look at those Alex Gray, what is that guy's name? Alex Gray? Like when I look at those paintings, you see all the veins, bro. It's clearly things are unified, dude.
And the thing about Texas is, like, you know, I met with the governor when I first came out here.
No.
And one of the things that he said, we want to make sure that we preserve people's freedoms. That's the same thing Ron DeSantis said. I met him recently, too.
Yeah.
He said, we preserve people's freedoms here.
I spoke at an event by Hillsdale College. I don't know if you know the school. They're kind of a college that's positions itself as kind of the premier anti-woke college. And they had invited me to speak in Florida and at an event in Naples. And so I was the plenary speaker on whatever it was on Thursday. The Wednesday event, it was DeSantis who was and so I didn't get to meet him personally, but I was at his thing. And he seems like pretty legit. What do you think?
I think he's legit. You know, there's people that don't agree with some of the things that he says because, you know, they're ideologically opposed to him because they're on the left.
oh man, wow. The political evolution of Joe is quite amazing, quite fascinating. He had Bernie Sanders on his thing, just a couple of years ago, Bernard Saunders on his crap. And he's like, I vote for Bernard Sanders. Yeah, this all sounds good. This all checks out. Jump forward just like a year and a half or whatever. Yeah, Ron DeSantis, he rules. So he went from like this little old man who's desperately trying to get people to think about real crap, like real, for God's sake, real stuff.
Healthcare, blah, 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 school, blah, blah, blah.
So we go from that, that seems good, to a guy who's just pure right-wing political theater. These both are pretty good. I don't know. Both of these things seem pretty good. This guy's talking about having a functioning healthcare system and getting people free college. Or this other, I'm thinking way better guy who's spending all his time making lists of math books that we're going to ban because they have critical race theory in them, which, by the way, we don't know what that is. Ooh. We got what we call a brain buster on our hands. And frankly, the way that I think of it is that it's
embarrassing.
About halfway through the evening, I turned to the lady in question and I said, you're a postmodernist graduate student, yes? Yes. Do you mind? I mean, I'm an evolutionist psychologist, so I do think there are, for example, human universals that we can rely on. Do you mind if I propose a universal and then you can tell me how I'm an imbecile? She said, go for it. I said, is it not true that within Homo sapiens only women bear children? Is that not a universal? So she looked at me kind of baffled by my stupidity and said, absolutely not. I said, no, how is that? So she said, well, there is some Japanese tribe off some Japanese island whereby within their folkloric mythological realm, it is the men who bear children. And so by you restricting it to the biological realm, that's how you keep us, barefoot and pregnant. So once
mythological?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Once I recovered from the mini stroke, having been exposed to her imbecility.
Some graduate student of his graduated or passed some test or some crap, who cares? And so Gad Sad took him out to dinner, and the guy brought his girlfriend, who was a postmodernist. She was studying postmodernism in school. And Gad Sad, I guess at dinner, hits her with this crap. Okay, I believe you. I believe you that this happened. He's like, hey, I'm an evolutionary biologist, real scientist. Ew. Only women can have children or whatever. And so that's his big challenge to her, intellectual challenge to her. If you're insufferable enough to talk about this at dinner, where you're supposed to be having a good time, hey, you know what you could be talking about? Hey, the Phoenix Suns, man.
That's embarrassing.
But instead, I'm challenging you with my red pills. Wow. If they don't leave the restaurant, what the lady could say is she could say, well, depends what you mean by woman, because a lot of people present themselves as a woman but might not be able to reproduce, or there's people who don't present themselves,
socially, which that's part of what being a quote unquote woman is about, is social blah blah blah, all this crap. You know where I'm going with this. But the point that I am bringing up all this, because they go on and on about this gender stuff. But the point is, this is a college professor who's talking with all this academic language and all this crap, and it's like, you don't see that? You don't see that play by this hypothetical postmodern woman?
Or one of the recent ones, I think you'll enjoy the story.
We'll see.
So my wife and I go to a cafe every morning after a 1-hour walk.
Okay.
The barista that was serving her looked like a transgender person. So she came to me as we were waiting for our order to be delivered to us. And she said, I felt quite, I didn't want to make an error in how I was addressing the person because, I didn't know, should I say. And so I put out a tweet that was meant to be a testimony to how sensitive and kind and empathetic my wife is, that she was very, very concerned to not get the address wrong. It was meant to be something aligned with the pronoun Taliban, right? But it turns out about 28 million tweet impressions later over 2 days.
My wife wanted to get it right, didn't want to offend this person by calling them something they didn't want to be called or whatever. So all the tweet was just my wife trying to be kind. And I'm like, that seems fine, okay. But then I looked up the tweet, and he says, my wife walked up to a server at our local cafe. The person was possibly transgender, okay. She wanted to engage the individual, but was frozen with fear that she might use a pronoun that might offend. Therein lies the problem with this language policing. It takes perfectly natural social situations, and in the quest to not offend an extraordinarily small minority, who of course deserve to live fully dignified lives just like anyone else, okay, everyone is walking on eggshells. Fighting for a world free of bigotry does not imply that we must suppress perfectly natural categorization mechanisms that are built into our brains and our language. Okay, so it's a little bit more than just, it's a little bit more. There's a couple interesting things, which is asking someone if they're trans. Okay, I'll admit to Gad, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I have trans friends, and the thing is, it doesn't really come up. Like if you meet somebody, you usually interact with them as a person. But it was I've never had a problem with that. There's never been I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. If you're at Starbucks and you see somebody and you're like, you want to say, hey, what is he doing? You can always say, hey, what are they doing? This is not much for a college professor. This seems like a brain buster that can pretty easily be solved. That one didn't pop into your mind? Hey, what are they doing? Or hey, what are you doing? Hey, are they new? Are they new here? Hey, are you new here?
Constantly, teachers are getting arrested for exposing themselves to children, for masturbating in front of children, for sending nude pictures in front of children. Every couple days there's a new one that pops up in the news. And how many of those people haven't been caught yet? And how many of those people are out there? And how many of those people are doing it under the guise of I'm an LGBTQ educator? And
I'm keeping a tally of the amount of hate mail that you're going to be
getting.
getting.
Well, good luck. I don't read it.
Oh, you got Gaddy babies even bailing on this one. Oh, boy, Joe.
Oh, Christ. Oh, God damn it, Joe. What are you saying?
Oh, Ben Shapiro's here.
Yeah, even for me, this is bad.
All right, so just to go back over this, we live in a time where this just one of the, probably in my lifetime, one of the stupidest culture war moments I think ever. This is pretty stupid. Which Florida, this is the chronology of events, just to see what we're dealing with here in America. Here's what they did. Florida created a law that specifically targets, instead of saying no sex ed and no whatever gender education, they could just say no sex ed. No sex ed up to grade 3, they could have said. But instead, they made a law that targets transgender people. The gender identity is in the law, and sexual orientation, which is gay people. So they targeted these two groups. Then a lot of people said, hey, that seems bigoted.
that you're targeting trans and gay people. That seems a little messed up. That's not right. And then, so their response to that was, you're a pedophile. And, you know, Joe didn't catch that. That top to bottom, this is just bigoted. Really, look, let's say what this is in the most disgusting language. Fooling dumb people, not their fault. Fooling dumb Americans, not their fault. With bigoted, homophobic, transphobic culture war crap. To cover up what Joe Rogan's new friend, Ron DeSantis, really does, which is scams. You know, it guzzles down a bunch of right-wing ecosystem money, guzzles down a bunch of right-wing corporate money, does nothing all day. What is Florida doing to improve life? And you can't wear a mask. Okay, so it's kind of crazy to see the trajectory of Joe. You kind of can tell exactly what media he's watching. You know, maybe some Tim Pool in there. Probably watches Benny Shapiro. You know, he goes and kicks a heavy bag for like 10 hours. He's doing kettlebells and Muay Thai and all this. And then he's like, you know what? You know what helps me really calm down after a tough workout? Is hearing a guy talk like this.
Hey, it's me. Hi, morons.
So that's what I would say to Joe. If I could get on Joe's show, the Joe Show, I would be like, Joe, you know what? They're trying to whip you up into a frenzy. And you're taking the bait, brother. You're taking the bait, brother. So anyway, guys, there we go. A look at Joe. I don't know what kind of crap he's got going on. Something's wrong with Joe. Thank you so much for watching. How would we describe this episode? There's really only one way to.
It's embarrassing.
So guys, thank you so much for watching. Love you. And hope everybody's doing good. And bye.
It's embarrassing.
Hey guys, you're only getting a fraction of the weekly shows. If you want a new motherfucking episode every day, subscribe on Patreon for as little as 2 bones. You get the patron-only Tuesday and Thursday shows, the Bookablega show where we look at important books, and the goddamn weekly behind-the-scenes show. And for only 25 bones, you could become a producer and get your name up here. Look at these people. These people make this show possible. If it wasn't for them, nothing. We don't have a show. We got nothing, and it's garbage. And we have to just leave. We have to just basically walk away. And we don't even really know where we're walking. That's the truly troubling part about all this. But please, become a patron today for as little as 2 bones, or 5 bones is another level, or 10, or you go the full 25 and you get up here. Big special thanks to these people. Love you guys. Love you guys so much.